So, we jump ahead to 2019. Rescue Heroes franchise second hibernation came back unexpectedly with breaking news on social media and other outlets. It was first announced on February 15th, 2019 for release later that spring.
Hi, I'm Laurie from TTPM here at Toy Fair 2019. The Rescue Heroes are back. This is a relaunch of the popular brand and TV show from the early 2000s, so if you were a fan, get ready. There are action figures, really cool vehicles. This is a great new line for a new generation of fans.
Joe Torrillo, the firefighter I mentioned in a previous video, he also came back and helped promote the return of the franchise. And on a positive note, you might recall I mentioned how he was, the impression was given that he had more of a role in designing the FDNY Billy Blazes figure than he really did, even giving the impression that it was designed after his own appearance when it was just a repainted pre-existing toy. But this time around they actually did make good on that, and he got a unique, actual one-of-a-kind Rescue Heroes figure, as seen here in this press release, that was actually made to more closely resemble his face. And you can't buy this one in the stores. And on a similar note, they also had a promotion in Mexico for the Mexico City Fire Department, and had some exclusive figures there as well, male and female. Later that year, they also had that summer called Touch a Truck promotions, where kids could go to Walmart and meet actual rescue personnel, but also see activities related to Rescue Heroes and get a chance to play with the figures themselves, as these new toys were being sold in Walmart. Again, these were new original sculpts, all new, innovative, none of that repainting business they had done in years past. And it was sort of a combination. The general shape and style of these figures was closely resembled the Imaginext figures, which were very popular at this point, so they were probably mimicking that. But the size of them was 6 inches, like the original Rescue Heroes figures. So we came back to that same scale. And in the series was Billy Blazes, Rocky Canyon, and then a bunch of new characters, such as Carlos Kitbash, Reed Vitals, diver Sandy O'Shin, fireman Forrest Fuego, which interesting combination of English and Spanish, like Forest Fire, and another version of Forrest Fuego with ATV and an orange outfit, as well as Sky Justice. Justice, that's interesting. Where have you heard that name before? But we won't get to that yet. There was also a large fire truck, and in the original press releases, it looked like this fire truck was going to come with an exclusive Billy Blazes and a black outfit, but this apparently never came to fruition. Oh, and by the way, these figures also returned to the concept of having a chip, per se, on their back that the equipment pack would slide off and on. And of course, figures were sent to the voice cast, and here is Billy Blazes' figure being sent to the new voice of Billy Blazes, along with a special message. New voice? Yes, that's right. It wasn't just new toys. Rescue Heroes was returning to the screen as a cartoon. The cartoon was teased from the very first press release on February 15th. They released just the new theme song.
Let's go! When the world's in trouble, who do you know? Rescue heroes. Let's go!
Don't worry, help is on the way.
No one gets left behind. We're on our way to save the day.
Let's go! Let's go!
And then later that spring, leading up to the premiere of the cartoon, there was released short live-action segments called Heroes in Our World. And these were real-life profiles of various people doing various things, emergency workers or people just doing different charities or other interests. And this would be an ongoing series that coexisted with the cartoon. So the first episode was called Earthquake in Africa. And this premiered online on Tuesday, April 16th, 2019. And the concept of the series is that veteran heroes Billy and Rocky are dealing with these other new characters who are called cadets. So yes, thankfully it didn't try to be a full-on reboot of going back in time or keeping these characters perpetually at this one stage of their life. Rocky already had his full character arc in his teenage years. Yes, he was a teenager when he started. And now he was a mentor to these new cadets. And Billy even appears to have a touch of gray in his hair. Rocky even gets to call one of the cadets Kid. Yeah, he's earned it by now, I guess. And while unfortunately the original voice cast did not return, it was close enough. They had a new headquarters that appeared to be similar to an aircraft carrier, but much larger, even larger than the Hyperjet, it appears. It has a below water section with a huge soccer field, glass window. Above that it has huge holograms so they can prepare for their mission. And they also have a voice-activated onboard computer system. Back in the series, season 2 and 3, they would say system, they would call the computer system and say, for instance, locate so-and-so. And it would have a female voice that would say subject located, among other things. This time they speak with a female voice that has a British accent, and the name of the computer is Aaron, and that's an acronym, and I was not able to find any reference for what it actually stands for. I'm sure they had something in mind, but they never revealed that to the public from what I could find. In the movie, they also had those holograms that emanated from the logo on their chest, and now they had new holograms on their wrist that would project above that.
Rescue. Cadets, listen up. Aaron.
Sensors are reporting a 6.2 magnitude earthquake in southern Africa that has derailed a train. Local responders require rescue heroes' assistance.
Okay, let's assemble the team, starting with our mechanical expert, Carlos Kitbash. Forest Fuego, wildfire specialist. Sandy O'Shin, ocean support. Sky Justice, air rescue expert. Reed Vitals, medical specialist. Rocky Canyon, mountain support. And myself, Billy Blazes, your team leader. Remember to keep your heads up out there. Rescue heroes, let's go!
Sky on the fly. Shredding the seas like a breeze.
Now, while the original series ended with safety tips and typically think like a rescue hero, think safe, the new series adopted a new pattern in which they recap the moral of the story, and it's in the format of them filming a vlog or video blog.
Well done, Cadet.
You guys were right. When we work together, nothing can stop us.
Rescue.
Rescue Heroes Vlog number 104. Working together.
check out these sweet snaps that we collected from the mission. Today was a big day.
Now, of course, this is a whole new era. Hand-drawn animation is not really a thing anymore. Everything is computer. Even 2D animation is on the computer nowadays. And this was not full-length episodes. These were all less than 10 minutes. So just with that alone, based on today's attention spans and frequent internet, online YouTube viewing, you are just not going to get remotely the same level of storytelling, character development that you got in the TV series, especially the first season where all the episodes were full 22 minutes. That was shortened to 11 minutes for much of the next 2 seasons, but this, no, you're just not going to get that level of storytelling, not even close. On the other hand, although the animation was lower budget, it was well done. It wasn't done by Nelvana, of course, because that would cost too much. It was done by a small Bulgarian animation studio called Chase a Cloud, and they had a very strong sense of style. There were many iconic shots in this series that were very stylized, stylistic, attention-grabbing, memorable. So the sense of style in the series was very good and mesmerizing, although my criticism that it was too fast-paced. The real-world live-action segments called Heroes in Our World was later renamed Real Rescue Heroes, which seems like a logical choice. It ties in more to the brand and is a simpler title. And after the first 4 episodes, there was a special episode called Meet the Heroes. And instead of the vlog being just at the closing of the show, it was the entire length of the show. And it showed the viewers around their new command center, which ended up being called MARC, M-A-R-C, or Mobile Action Rescue Center. Also introduced was a new character later on called Manny, who was a robot that Carlos Kitbash would ride inside. And by the way, a lot of these episodes were on the Fisher-Price website and the Rescue Heroes website, which is now offline, but mainly on YouTube. That was the primary access point for this series, YouTube. And also around this summer, they started doing compilations, compiling various episodes of the different series into longer videos. That's something they would continue to do. And they also started releasing them on different language channels, like Fisher-Price for Portuguese and Spanish. And on the 4th of July that year, they also did a live stream of compilations of the episodes, playing and replaying. So all in all, this season there were 13 episodes, 12 regular episodes plus that special episode right in the middle that I mentioned earlier. So like I said, the sense of style was basically the strongest element of the new series. But otherwise, it was a large step downward from the television series and movies that dealt with more complex themes and did them with grace and nuance. This was more in a blocky, obvious way. In my opinion, it was talking down to kids. I know you're probably thinking, wait, it's supposed to be a kids show. That's not the point. I think kids are capable of understanding more than what some might assume. And it also contributes to them maturing as well, not to be pandered to with low expectations. And this new series really got lazy in some ways. One trope they kept going back to was cute animals. Nothing wrong with cute animals. Animals are cute, of course. I love cute animals. The point is they use this as a crutch. When there's nothing left to say, oh look, a cute animal, let's completely ignore everything else and focus on this cute animal to distract from the fact that we don't really have a story to tell here. And while the original series, of course, had fantastic technology, it also kept one foot in the real world to keep it grounded. But this series, for instance, one episode, they're dumping junk into this machine that's pumping out random manufactured goods. It goes completely against any and all sense of logic, and is more reminiscent of a Looney Tunes episode than what you would expect of Rescue Heroes. So I imagine a lot of these story elements were made by marketers who thought this is what the kids want, who really weren't all that familiar with the pre-existing Rescue Heroes canon. I mean, you couldn't be and write some of this stuff. So anyway, once that first reboot season was finished, there were stop-motion episodes made with toys, narrated by a child, and these were even shorter, just like a couple minutes sometimes.
The rescue heroes are always ready for anything. And sometimes that means checking for things before they become an emergency. That's why Billy Blazes is here.
And they would sometimes include limited animation, like on the figures' facial features. And the roles of civilians in the stop-motion series appeared to be prototypes and unfinished sculpts that were repurposed to be various secondary characters. So there were a number of these stop-motion shorts made, continuing on that year, and that led right into a second season of episodes. And this new season started on November 10th, 2019, and started to introduce new characters. In this episode, it featured Avalanche and his pet Claus. And the name of this episode? Learning to Make Friends. Yeah, if that doesn't give you an idea of how ham-fisted the writing was becoming, I don't know what to tell you. And also seen in that episode were teased what probably were going to be new products. There was a new command center. This looked very much like it could have been a real-world toy, but it never came to fruition. And there were also new characters teased at the very end, and these would be real-world toys the following year, but we'll get to that later. And they were shown as being new cadets that were coming aboard the team, but they were unnamed at the time. And the way it ended up, there was only 2 animated episodes, actual standard story episodes this season. The one with Avalanche, and then a second one called, another ham-fisted title, Recycling Matters. And that was the one with that Looney Tunes-esque gag I mentioned earlier. And the vast majority this year and on into 2020 were the stop-motion episodes. But we'll get into that year more in the next video.